welcome to the P3M Playbook Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Watts, and for each episode, I will be talking to a guest to unpick the complexities of running effective programmes and portfolios of work. My company, Verto, is a veteran in this space, having supplied a programme management solution to public sector organisations since 2008. So without further ado, let's get started. Hello and welcome to another episode of the P3M Playbook Podcast. My name is Laura Watts, and I'd like to start by saying, if you are listening to this episode today, I highly recommend that you head to our website, vertocloud.co.uk, and actually click on the video link for this episode. And the reason for this is that this episode consists of lots of short conversations that took place at DigiGov this year, back in September. And so, as I'm sure you can imagine, the background noise was quite loud. What I have therefore done is this episode has been edited to include the captions, the subtitles, which makes it a much easier listen if you also watch it and read the subtitles at the same time. So if this is available to you, I highly recommend that you head and do that. We spoke to a real eclectic bunch of people. Wonderful conversations were had, many with clients, some with prospects, and some who had stumbled across our booth, our stand at the event for the first time. I also got the opportunity to speak to some more of my colleagues, and it was a real coming together of several different teams at this year's event. So I highly recommend that you go and watch it there. And enjoy the episode. Playbook Podcast.
Great to be here.
Jacob, you are a colleague of mine, and you have been here at DigiGov all day today. I think you've probably had the most conversations with people as they come past, which is just naturally your
my skill set.
Your skill set.
There's very few of them. That's one of them.
You thrive in this environment, don't you? Really? Yeah, absolutely. It's been amazing to watch your work. I really want to unpick and get into the nitty-gritty of what you have been talking about. Who have you been speaking to? What have they been talking about? What are their challenges? Why are they approaching us?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's actually been a really good day for us because I think it's been all the typical things that we suspect at Verto tend to be challenging are a huge challenge at the moment. It's financial constraints in the public sector. It's how do we aggregate data effectively across these departments? How do we handle, if you're like a mid-manager, for example, the pressure of getting everyone who's delivering those reports to deliver them on time, but also delivering data to SLT members who need to see this data in real time to make decisions in, let's be honest, what is a very strained public sector. So it's just the idea of having those two things work together effectively. Yeah. So what's been really great to see is just how it's, regardless of the level of seniority that we've spoken to today, Verto is applicable in all areas, right from end user up to sort of corporate level. So it's been really great to see that today.
Yeah, it's the typical conversations we have, isn't it, with people who either know us or don't know us or are interested in what we do. What would you talked briefly there about seniority. What would you say the levels were that we're talking to today? Are there many C-suite in the building, or are they sending their slightly more junior personnel to come and find out the information for them?
A bit of both. So, spoken to a few heads of. There's been a lot of kind of people who linchpin between SLT to, for example, an end user who'd use Verto, which has been really interesting. A lot of kind of senior managers as well, so people who run teams of maybe 15 to 20 people, who will then report to those linchpin characters who then report up. So it's actually been quite a variety, but it's interesting because there is, as much as there is differences in seniority, there are actually similarities, in terms of how they would use the tool, because essentially all this data comes in, they need to action that data immediately, they need to produce reports immediately, it needs to be done yesterday effectively, so it's just about how can we, give them that repository of data that's going to allow them to do their jobs, and ultimately it's about the personal pressure we're going to take off them as well. It's not just about can I deliver a report, it's about how it's going to make my life easier when I've got deadlines and reports to deliver. So that's what we're saying.
And this is really interesting, isn't it? It's what we can speak about at Verto quite eloquently is, as a senior leader, these are the benefits, but as a user, as a project manager, and somebody who is thick in delivery of project and programs, this is how it's going to benefit you as well. The tool is there to provide the visibility and the ease of data management for these portfolios of work right through the levels.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's been really nice to see though is that even though let's say it's been someone who's an end user that necessarily doesn't have to deliver that many reports, is still really interested in the reporting functionality. Because let's say they have ambitions that they want to go, they'll be delivering this stuff at some point in their career.
Yeah.
So it's been really great to see actually they want to see those portfolio and program dashboards, even though they're end users, they probably won't use it for that much, for that particular reason. So that's been really cool to see. And I think that I think what's been surprisingly good to see as well is just how willing people are to speak to us the moment that we talk about portfolio program dashboards, which we say is probably less trendy in the industry right now, has actually become a really important thing to talk about, because that's the level that councils want to look at now. They don't just want to look at, or does it do the end user functionality that we need it to? It's like, where's this data going? What's the long-term goal? And how do we consistently deliver this data in chunks that we can understand?
And I wondered how many have you had any conversations with local government organisations about, for example, the reorganisation of local government that's happening at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, there's been lots of, the local gov's changing significantly over the next sort of year or so. I think it's pretty common knowledge now that there's going to be lots of mergers, there's going to be lots of changes in the sense that teams that did one thing might be doing multiple things, they might be getting bigger, they might be getting smaller, all kinds of changes happening. And it's about how we as an organisation can continuously work with them as they're going through these changes, because sometimes project management isn't top of mind for them. They're thinking, it sounds terrible, but sometimes job security is questionable now. If my role changes, what does that look like in the next 12 to 18 months, and how are processes going to follow along from those changes? And that, I think, at Verta we're very good at. We're very good at saying, okay, these are the changes that we're going to make, and how are we technologically going to keep up with those changes. And I think that's one of our biggest strengths, is that we can keep up with that pace of change as an agile organisation and ensure that regardless of what's happening to your role and how it's changing, we can work with you to make sure it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, DigiGov is obviously full of local government representatives. However, what about central government? Have you, I think probably it's
majority,
it's the vast majority, isn't it? Are there any trends that you can depict from the conversations that you've had with central government?
Definitely. I think with central gov, so they look at things, I'd say, probably more holistically than local gov. They're thinking more, much larger organisations, there's many more moving parts, and therefore that requires a different approach in the sense that they need to look at change very carefully. Not to say that councils aren't risk averse, they are very risk averse, but even more risk averse in central government. And what they're also looking at again is central gov is changing significantly over the next few years. And it's very similar to local gov in the sense that what does that look like? Like, how are we as a really large central government organisation with lots of responsibilities and key parts of our society, how are we going to continuously deliver to our constituents, or indeed centrally? So that's what they've been doing.
I think that's brilliant. All right, fantastic. Thanks so much.
No worries, always a pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining me on the P3M Playbook Podcast. My name is Laura.
My name is Komal.
It's lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming along. I was wondering if you could quickly let me know your job title, the organisation that you work for, and then some key responsibilities that you look after.
Okay, so myself, Komal, I am a senior test engineer for the DSAT one login program, and my key responsibility is the quality engineering. So before any new changes to the production, we are there to check for the quality assurance.
Right, okay, so does that also include training people up or informing them of what's changed? Or is it more like making sure that the tools actually are set to function correctly in your organisation?
So as a part of my role, actually we are not training the people. So it's a currently ongoing program actually. So we are currently integrated about 80 different government services into the one login program. So and then we are migrated with the new government service into the program. We are there to check, is it operationally ready before it goes to the civil service. ones or any citizens actually. They can help you. So they do not get the beeps and bumps. They can get the smooth line service from the government side. So we are there for the quality assurance.
Yes.
We are there for the check and the product is safe and works smoothly.
Understand. Got it. Okay. So, Kamal, I wanted to ask you about the technology and the tools, seeing as this is your focus area. How do you see technology, as it stands right now, helping or hindering your ability to manage and deliver change over the next 12 months?
So you can see the AI is approaching and AI is everywhere, right?
Absolutely everywhere.
This is going to make a massive change. There are so many whistling and the talks going about they are going to take away your jobs and everything. But I'm seeing I'm checking the other side of it. No doubts. You need to train yourself actually, and it makes your life very, very easy. Till now you need to do some manual stuff. They are all ready for you. So you need to take one step ahead. All the basic stuff is done by that, and it's kind of Google. When the Google is in the market, people are afraid of it. There are so many buzz about it. But now nobody is staying without Google, right? For some reason as well, everybody is using the Google the same way. AI is everywhere. So we need to adopt it.
So your advice is upskill yourself, become instrumental in AI usage, and therefore your job will not be taken. You will be just you will just improve your ability to use the functionality as it evolves.
Because AI is very vast. It makes your day-to-day life very, very easy. Is the time that some of the things you are doing manually and repetitively, you can train your bots. The stuff is easily done by other hand. You can use this time to do some another creativity things, or you can spend your time with your things which you cannot do on your job time.
So would you, in your opinion, would you say that at DigiGov today and yesterday, if you were here, would you say that you have seen a lot of useful AI, or are you also recognising that there are a few gimmicks?
No, they are creating so many different use cases based on their product.
So you've seen a lot of significant time cuts, and also no more manual processes for actual people to do. There is a lot of AI out there that can take that burden off people. That's really great insights. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on, and it was wonderful to meet you.
Yes.
You've just come off the AI stage after delivering a fantastic speech about the developments that we've made at Verto with our AI capabilities. It was a really well-attended event.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was brilliant.
Standing room only. They all ran the sides. It was quite exciting, actually.
It was really, really, really exciting. I think there were a lot of people there taking photos of the slides. A number of people came up to me after the event wanting the presentation, interested to talk to you. The stand now is getting pretty rammed, which I think is a really positive outcome. What were the post-speech conversations like for you? Are people excited about what's going on?
Yeah, I think everybody's genuinely excited. I think one of the things that we're seeing though is that people are going, I can now see how AI actually applies to systems that I'm using, not just ChatGPT or any of those other tools that you might use, Copilot, ChatGPT. They're actually saying, oh yeah, hang on, you're right, we just put it in our tool, and if it knows about the data, off I go. And it's really interesting when you see people, when you talk about the accidental project manager or I've got a blank page problem, and you just see the nodding heads and the scribbling down and you talk about all the data being all over the place. We definitely got that.
Absolutely.
And the audience were genuinely quite engaged. So I was quite pleased because I can be boring.
It's not true. It's not true at all. I really think we're at an interesting point of AI development in all walks of life. I think we're at this sort of we're at this place where actual use cases are beginning to surface, and this is definitely the case with us. And exactly what you said, people are actually understanding, oh yes, this is going to be useful for me in my specific role in my organisation. I think when the big chat about AI, obviously it's word of the year. When it first started coming out, I think some people were probably in two camps. Yes, I'm going to give it a go, or it's just too much. It was too broad a term, and we're really starting to see some filtering down of the use cases. I think particularly exciting for me is the agentic AI models that you've built, the VIPs as we're calling them. I find that these are they're just a phenomenal use of AI to form a team and to formulate some answers, collating of data and giving accidental project managers, as we're calling them, but also the wider team, just loads more capability, loads more confidence in the data that they are having to sift through every single day.
Yeah, and it's one of those things we came out with. We did a lot of brainstorming and talking to our customers about how we were going to do this, and it sort of came out of a chat. It's like, well, hang on, we get it to talk to the AI. Yeah, let's get it to talk to the AI. And someone went, well, hang on, what about if we have lots of different AI agents and they've all got specialist areas? And all of a sudden, it kind of clicked, because you went, okay, what does a normal regular project team look like? Oh, well, it's got a risk guy, it's got a finance guy, it's got a tech guy, it's got a governance guy in it. Okay, oh yeah. So why don't we just create agents that mirror what people's teams look like? Because one thing about AI, exactly as you said, people they kind of don't get it. And so as soon as you can bring it back to something they absolutely understand, and I said it in my talk, it's like Ruby Risk. What do you think she'll do for you? Risks. Yeah. So we might talk about these slightly silly names, but actually it allows people to immediately figure out, oh, I reckon I know what she does.
It's recognition, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
And so we are starting to come to that point where we're finding really good applications in the real world that people can use. And again, as I said in my speech, we won't do anything unless it actually can be a tangible business benefit. It's so key to what you do, because otherwise you just end up in what we call the AI trough of disillusionment, where you're just in this place where you just go, it's just rubbish. I type anything in, it just comes up with absolute nonsense. And
or it's gimmicky, right?
Yeah, it's just
look at this, brilliant, and they use it for 2 seconds and realise it's just not useful for their day-to-day.
It has to be able to persist in their day-to-day work. And we're now at that point where the release of the Virtual Intelligence partners and the data insights, because the data insights one is great for those people who, you said it, I'm not interested in AI, no, I can't be bothered, I can't be doing with it. But it's a great introduction, isn't it? Push that button and it's going to tell you stuff you didn't know.
Yeah.
100%, I'll guarantee anybody who tries it in one of their Virtual projects and pushes that button, it will tell them stuff they didn't know.
Perfect.
Every time I try it, I constantly am amazed by, I'm not blowing our own trumpet here, but by how the VIPs and the data insights return data.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. You touched on it in your speech about how did you say we're the third upgrade or iteration of the tools that we now supply in, or maybe it's even more?
No, I mean, in the last 8 months or so, we're in the third, perhaps fourth iteration of the underlying technology, because it's moving so fast.
And I was going to ask, is that because we're learning or because it is moving on?
It's a bit of both, but primarily it's the underlying models changing, and even we're releasing the production environment of this in a couple of weeks' time to all of our customers, but we had to change the underlying model 2 weeks ago because stuff changes so fast. And I guarantee in another 3 months we'll be changing it again, and another 3 months we'll be changing it again. So we have no idea actually. If someone says to me, okay, can you do a roadmap for AI for next year? No.
Right.
I can't do a roadmap for you for AI for next year because it's moving so fast. I honestly can't tell you where we'll be.
So we are moving from an organisation who, created this software and knew it inside out, to actually an organisation that is going to have to think on their feet. We're going to have to stay on top of the changes and then move quickly as those changes come into fruition.
Absolutely, we're going to have to change really, really rapidly according to what the AI demands. And it's kind of weird, but it perpetuates into the tool as well, because you saw me doing my demo today. You know, that's probably the first ever demo I've done to an audience like that, where I genuinely didn't know what it was going to say when I typed it in.
That is a new way of working, isn't it?
And so, okay, I've practiced, but genuinely, when I type those prompts in and it comes back with something, I have literally no idea what it's going to say.
Yeah.
I know it's not going to be rude, because we've trained our models not to be rude, but I genuinely didn't know what it's going to say. And if I run that demo 10 times, I will get 10 completely different answers. They'll have probably the same themes, but there'll be 10 different answers. And it's a really, really different way of working, and our customers will need to get used to it as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we need to stay on top of what the change is, but also try and second guess what those absolute uses are going to be for our customers before they even know it themselves.
And that's the problem, because as you said, it's moving so fast. Our customers cannot keep up with it. So it's beyond them to be able to keep up with what could be possible given that technology, because it's they've got their day jobs to do. They don't need to be focused on the AI technology. That's our job, is to try and figure out, okay, now that's available, where can we apply that for our customers? Okay, and that's the challenge. Our customers almost need to just almost trust us that we're bringing to market the latest technology that they can use.
Yeah. Well, good luck with all of it.
Thank you.
And well done on the stage today. It was fantastic.
Good. I'm glad everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And I'm sure we'll do it again sometime.
I'm sure we will, Laura. Thank you.
So, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the P3M Playbook
Thank
Podcast.
you.
Nice to have you.
Nice to be here.
Laura.
I'm Gareth. Nice
Lovely to meet you, Gareth. Could you start by telling me your job title and the organisation you work for?
Yep. I am Head of Systems and Innovation for a company called KFM, who are a wholly owned subsidiary of King's College Hospital.
Cool, that is a mouthful. What are your general roles and responsibilities?
So I look after all our IT hardware and software. So everything from our purchase to pay system to our data warehouses to our customer engagement software, various inventory management systems that we've got. So I look after the team that then go and look after those systems.
Right, and when you say look after, so you have to make sure
so we manage the hardware and the software.
Integration,
all that kind of
support
stuff.
for people using them, making sure
training,
training,
all that kind of stuff.
All of that kind of stuff. Amazing. Okay, so I wanted to ask you just one question for today on technology and tools.
Yes.
How do you see technology helping or hindering your ability to deliver change in the next 12 months?
So at the moment, it's hindering our ability to a certain extent because we haven't really adopted a cohesive set of technology / applications to be able to manage projects properly. So although we have a sort of project team in place, and they have a number of different spreadsheets and forms that they use to try and manage the systems, we rely quite a lot on various other stakeholders within our organisations, within our teams, to sort of fill in the information as they're going along in those projects. And what we find is that people don't necessarily adhere in the same way to the way that they fill in those forms, spreadsheets, whatever. And so, we are sort of hindered in that way because we can't. We find that reporting on projects then becomes a real task.
So multiple systems.
So it's multiple systems, multiple people putting in their data
in their own way.
Absolutely, and then trying to then bring that data all in together into sort of a cohesive picture that SLT can see, to have a look at and go, oh yes, we can see which projects are lagging, which ones aren't. Suddenly becomes a big challenge. And so one of the things that we're looking at over the course of this year is, are there any application systems out there that we might be able to adopt that might be able to help us improve on that system, on that reporting side especially, and give us some insight into how different projects are going.
And
then on top of that, trying to then sit some AI AI is a big word at the moment.
AI, we're playing AI bingo.
Yeah.
At the moment,
So
yeah.
trying to get some, like, how can we then leverage AI into giving us some more insights into how our projects are going.
Yes.
And really, you can't really do that if you've got 15 different spreadsheets being held on 15 different laptops that then need to be brought together to kind of give you an overall picture.
Yeah, I think that that explains a challenge that many of our clients face very eloquently. I completely understand that. Yeah.
So I think it's about trying to bridge that gap and realise that project management is one of those things that kind of goes in and out of vogue, and we find that within our organisation we have like stretches where we're like, we need to project manage everything and everything needs a form and we've got to go through a million different processes.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden 12 months down the line it's like there's too many different processes and there's too many forms and we need to get someone to, because all we're doing is project managing.
Yes.
And I think we're trying to get to that point where we find a balance where we're using technology to enable people to manage projects without it necessarily being a huge time constraint, and also trying to get as much good data out of that system, to understand what's going on within the organisation.
And it sounds, obviously you're in the technology world and your MO sort of is getting the right tech in place, but actually there's a bigger story, isn't there? It sounds like there is a process that people need to buy into from start to finish that isn't overcomplicated as well.
Exactly, and it's about that transformative sort of piece around let's try and standardise those processes.
Yes.
And those business I talk about workflows, but like business workflows.
Yes.
And it's like these are the steps that you need to take to be able to start a project from idea conception all the way through to completion, and then track those steps all the way through with those gateways, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Well, I hope that you have found
Me too.
something
Yeah.
that works for you in DigiGov this year. And thank you so much for coming and having a chat with me. It was really, really insightful.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for finally attending the P3M Playbook Podcast.
Well, thank you for having me, Laura.
It's fantastic.
It's great to
have
be
you
here.
Yeah, finally. Simon, we are here at DigiGov this year. You
Yes.
as CEO, I actually met you at DigiGov for the first time last year.
Oh yes, absolutely,
Just
absolutely.
before you were CEO of Verto.
Yeah, no, that was absolutely, it was amazing. So I came down to see what it was all about,
Yeah.
to get a feel for DigiGov for the
Yeah.
first time, and
Did you know at that stage that you were going to take the gig? Take the job?
I did,
Yeah,
I
okay.
definitely did. You know, I'd worked on the other side of the fence, if you like, working with Scale Up Capital, as you know, our principal investor.
Yeah.
You know, going through the due diligence in the company and all those usual things that you get involved with. Absolutely. I was chomping at the bit to come on board. I could see a huge opportunity. It was clear that the product and the innovation that the company has is amazing, and the customer base as well.
Yes.
You could just tell by the interactions that you guys were having on the stand, speaking to different customers and new potential customers and partners. And the whole buzz about what we were doing, what you were doing at the time, it was really inspiring. So I was already sold pretty much, but this was great. So I was, as I say, I've been really excited to join the company, and it's been a great first 12 months.
I think it's been a really good first 12 months. I feel like a lot has changed. Noticeably, the size of our DigiGov, which has more than doubled in size since last year. But aside from that, I feel like our strategic path to growth has been very clear since day one. I just want to talk a little bit about how has it been for you? Have you had the welcome that you expected? And do you feel like we are on a trajectory now and on the right path?
I genuinely believe so. Yeah. I mean, as I said, I think when I came in, it was on a very, very solid. The business was on a very, very solid foundation. wasn't it? You know, had a very good product, very solid product, and and very, very loyal customer base. Which is obviously an amazing place to start. And I think I've really enjoyed coming in. Essentially, what I think I brought to the table is just bringing that direction. Because I've done this a number of times, scaling businesses, and it's all about setting a very clear vision, in my opinion. So I think I've brought that sort of clarity of vision of where we want to be and what we want to be. So we want to be the leading provider of portfolio, program, and project management for the public sector. And as you can see on the stand today, we are statistically that leader in the PPM field already, right? So the vision for us is to be very clear that we want to retain and build on that by adding more and more value for our customers as we go forward, and we're doing that, I think, this year through the investment in talent. So the people that we've now brought into the team and continuing to do that, and also the investment that we're making, particularly in the marketing area, Laura. Everything that you're doing is amazing, and we've brought on board Tara as well. Tara O'Sullivan is our CMO. So we've had I think one of the key challenges and thing that I wanted to address was raising our profile, so making that brand stand out, right? So obviously this stands a good example of that at the show, right? But it is about we've had people come up to us this week and say where have you been hiding? Where are you guys? And we say, well, look, this is who we are, this is the status we've got. And then I think one of the challenges I like to think that we're addressing right now is being able to raise our profile, building our brand, letting people know where we are. We're building the talent and the team, and we're investing in innovation and product, right? And Ross Nardell, our CPO, did an amazing presentation this morning around VI or Verto Intelligence, and we're super pumped about everything we're building into that.
It's a really exciting time.
Oh
isn't it?
yeah,
Certainly.
amazing.
Yeah, I think you definitely started with a team that was a real solid team. Everybody was long-standing, and the additions that we now have in Tara, especially for me, has been revolutionary. Jacob in the sales team, and everybody else that's come on board and joined us since you joined has been a real uplift, and has certainly injected some energy into the wider team. But also such an exciting time, your first year with the advent of AI. And I said it several times on this podcast already, but it's like playing AI bingo, isn't it? It's everywhere. But I think that the cool thing for us is this is not a gimmick. This is here to stay. And what Ross delivered on the stage today, this morning, was received with such welcome ears.
Oh yeah.
The stand was full to busting, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was standing room only, wasn't it?
Yeah. And talking to Paul, who is arguably more of the brains even. I'm doing it. Don't tell Ross I said that. It's really bringing AI to life for our clients in a way that they can harness and use in their everyday day-to-day. It's going to be so beneficial, but it's a whole new way of working. They've got to think on their feet. AI is developing at a rare rate of knots. And as an organisation, I think we are poised to move forward at pace and to be on the front foot with this.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's important to remember that we've had AI built into our platform for a while now, right? So we're not playing catch up from that perspective. In fact, we're actually leading the pack, I would say, right? We've had AI, built into Teams, so we've been, we're integrated with Copilot for a long time now, actually. We've had bots, and the actual platform itself to be able to, very quickly and easily find information through the Knowledge Hub, etc., and pull that all together, So, we're kind of leaning on that heritage of using, AI for a while now, and now we're taking that leap forward by being able to use it it for very sophisticated importing, which has had a huge impact, on speed to value, bringing disparate sources of information together to do that. In its sense, that doesn't sound very exciting, but actually, when you actually get into it, you realise just how powerful that really is by being able to leverage AI to do that. And then we kind of lead into other things like Verto data insights, being able to do, just looking at various statuses of individual projects, So, I mean, that in itself has been a huge leap forward. And
I just think that element is incredible, isn't it? The ability for AI to sift through all of that data and bring that eventual RAG status, for example, to the surface.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and again, we've roadshowed this, it's not something that Ross and Paul and the team have built, in isolation. This is through months of taking these ideas and honing them with our user community, which is, one of our core things that I lean into all the time and I talk about a lot, is around being very customer centric and building things that's going to add real value for our customer base. And we get that real-time feedback, and we're very lucky with the user community that we have, that they will very openly give us that direction and that feedback. So we've really done a really great job, I think, building that piece out. But then what Ross was talking about today is going even that step further and really leveraging agentic AI and building these various other profiles, risk managers or IT managers, finance directors, and having those sort of virtual conversations with agentic AI, which is just taking it to the next level.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
I remember
exciting.
the first time I saw it, and I couldn't quite believe what I was seeing.
Yeah.
It's not just about with the VIPs, as we're calling them. It's not just about saving time, but imagine the accidental training, the training that people will go through by just having these AI agents, these AI partners of ours, able to act as a team on their behalf. It's not just about training; it's about the confidence that people might have to step into their next meeting having all of that information already in place, or just build the team around them as project managers on their shoulders, basically, just looking over that helping hand. The benefits are unbelievable.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's you may not have the experience of a risk manager or an IT manager or a finance director, and immediately now in real time you get their opinions and their views. Have you thought about this? Have you looked at the project from this angle? What about that? What's the next steps? And these are things that sometimes you just don't necessarily have access to all of those people in real time, and then you're getting that information to feed in, which just bleeds into the way we're helping with that operational efficiency, more effectiveness, making sure that programs are successfully delivered. So we want to be that trusted standard ultimately.
Absolutely, yeah. It's an exciting new world, isn't it? It's very, very exciting to be leading in this space for public sector PPM managers. Absolutely amazing.
Very good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me. Thought that was a great conversation.
Very, very good. Thank you, Laura. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Laura.
Maria.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, welcome to the P3M Playbook Podcast. I'd like to start, if you could just explain your job title, the organisation that you work for, and also any key responsibilities that you have.
Yep, so my name is Ria Weston. I'm a product manager at the Office for National Statistics, the ONS, and I work on a website transformation programme, and I manage one of the work streams of that programme, which is the findability work stream.
Yes.
So my responsibilities are related to how users search for content on our website, so working with our tech teams to ensure our search functionality is better. I manage a taxonomy kind of project, so improving how our information is structured on the website, the information architecture, how it's tagged with metadata, so that users can navigate through the site more intuitively, also find that content in search and in related content, and also find it externally as well. Also part of my portfolio is our homepage, because it's seen as a navigational tool, so pointing people to where they need to go so they can find what they need. And then the user experience of our navigation tools as well. So not just the way that the information's structured, but also can people actually open the menu on their mobile phone? You know, stuff like that. Quite basic, simple stuff.
Gosh,
I've covered everything. Yeah,
as a marketer, that just sounds like I would love that person in my team, just to have that in-depth knowledge and really try and see the website from a user's perspective. That must just, that seems like such a, you just must be invaluable.
No, I wouldn't say that, but I mean,
you touched on there your work stream and your transformation projects and program of work. Could you talk me through that in detail? Is that the biggest piece of work on your plate right now, and what are the challenges associated with it?
Yeah, so it is. It's my focus at work, and it is huge. It's the biggest thing we're working on in our directorate at the moment. The organisation obviously has lots of other priorities, but for us right now it's huge. There are lots of challenges, so it's kind of hard to pick one. But one that I've been thinking about, it's just on my mind at the moment, is how we work with other parts of the organisation. So it's a huge organisation, it's got thousands of members of staff, it's got lots of departments, lots of teams, lots of silos, and lots of different ways of working.
It's very hard to get things like that right, isn't it? We're an organisation that firmly believes that our tech is one element of a wider system and a wider workflow that also involves people and processes, and it resonates hugely. And I hope that you've seen something around here today that you feel like might sort of help you enable.
Yeah, well, there's so many things that I've seen today and yesterday that I mean, I just need to go back and tell a lot of people that they should come to us next year, because they should be here hearing it. I'm passing on the messages now, and they need to be here to hear it. So there's been loads. I don't know if it's going to resolve that issue. But other issues.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for joining me. Great to meet you.
Thank you.
Hello. Paul Hill, you work at Verto. What is your official job title?
I'm the head of development at Verto.
Head of development. That's great.
I do a lot of the back end work, the stuff that makes Verto work underneath. And integrating with all new technologies.
Fantastic. It's really good to have you here today because AI is an incredibly huge buzzword at DigiGov this year. I think we're going to play AI bingo at some point. So for every single time we mention it, every single time we see it on a flyer or on a backdrop or anything like that, we're no different. We have got some big news coming out at DigiGov tomorrow about the AI that we're bringing to Verto. Ross Mardell is our Chief Product Officer. He's going to be delivering the speech on the AI stage, but he's developed all of the AI that now sits within Verto. Could you tell me a little bit about the in-depth tools and tech that has gone into it, that you've actually implemented into the system?
Yeah, sure.
And be quite technical, if you will. I'll then ask you to be less technical if I really don't understand.
Okay, so there's kind of two ways that we use AI in Verto, I see it as. There's data in, that's how can we use AI to make getting data into the system easier for you. And there's two ways we've achieved that, with a AI supported import, which I'll go into in a second, and a agentic function, which essentially allows you to be a bit lazy when you get data input and lets AI fill in a lot of the blanks for you. So if I start with the AI supported import side of things, there's a lot of people out there with unstructured data. What I mean by unstructured data is data that's, say, in an Excel spreadsheet, but you might have a standard Excel spreadsheet, you might have 20 different versions of a spreadsheet where people have added columns, moved them around, maybe you've got some notes at the top and your columns are several sheets down, several rows down, and it's about how can we use AI to get that and put it into a structured format within Verto.
So when you say data in, you're talking about how to get the unstructured data through the AI channels in order to structure it.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
So it'll pass through the AI, and ideally what you get out of that is some representation of that data in Verto, and as soon as it's in Verto in a nice structured way, that's when you can start reporting on it and getting all those insights out of it, whereas before you've just got a pile of spreadsheets on a drive somewhere or on SharePoint, and it's really hard to pull that information out.
Right.
So the idea there is you take this unstructured data, AI is going to read it and try and map it to an existing data structure.
Right.
So your data structure would be the fields that you're seeing on the screen in Verto, and then pass it then through a final human verification layer saying I've assigned these fields here, these fields there, I've mapped these drop downs in your spreadsheet to these drop downs in Verto.
Yeah.
Have I got it right? Give you the tools to make any tweaks that you need to get it in there, and then you just approve it. And then once you've done that once for a couple of rows, that's probably going to apply to lots of further spreadsheets, lots of further rows. So we've established those rules, and that'll help you get data in.
So it will learn how you want your data structured the more it takes.
Well, that's a yes and a no.
Okay.
That's a yes and a no. So AI models in general, this is actually a big misconception a lot of people have about AI, is they don't actually learn. The only point that AIs really learn is when very large companies like OpenAI or your Meta and so on do these training runs that cost millions of pounds and gigawatts of electricity, and they create what's called a foundational model. And then on top of that model, we can overlay some fine-tuning, and we can overlay some context and inject some context, and that's the bit where it learns. In the it's about what data you give it along with the instructions. And that's really where the only learning comes in. So I think a lot of people have this idea that you type something into an AI and it'll remember it forever.
Yes.
But actually, it will remember it within the context of that conversation or whatever's then fed back into that AI when it runs. So for us, it will remember your decisions within the context of that run. So if you say this drop down of OK in the spreadsheet maps to green in my system, then when it next encounters that row, it's going to know that OK means green. So it's remembering those decisions that you've made for the just for the context of that import.
Okay. So before we had the ability to for input of data to travel through AI to be added into Verto in a much more efficient, sounds like much quicker way of doing it.
Yeah.
How were we doing it before? Was it a very manual process?
Yeah. So if you've got a lot of these spreadsheets, I think some companies will hire a temp and just say take that data, type it into there, and it's much harder then for you to have somebody that actually really knows the data and knows where it should go to verify everything that's gone in. Whereas if you're actually only having to make a few of those decisions, you've got the person that's working with the data actually verifying what the output of the AI. But the data on the data inside, the import's just one of the things that we're doing. The agentic side of things is probably a bit more understandable to people. Because it's certainly a lot easier to show it off, because that's a much more conversational style. So my favourite thing to demonstrate this to people is you can go into the conversational area of Verto, which we've got in VIPs, and you could add a risk manager to your conversation.
VIP stands for
Verto Intelligence Partners.
Verto Intelligence Partners, yeah.
So, and we'll probably need to go into what those are before I go into too much of those. But Verto Intelligence Partners are, rather than having a single conversation with a single AI agent, which is a Verto partner, as you normally would with like Copilot or ChatGPT or something. When you're speaking with Copilot or ChatGPT, what you might do is give it a persona or give it a prompt and say,
talk in a professional language, write me an email in a friendly tone.
So in really simple terms, if you say, you are Albert Einstein, explain black holes to me, it's going to give you quite a complicated response explaining black holes. But if you said, You are
a 6-year-old.
I am a 6-year-old, and you are my teacher.
Yes.
Explain black holes to me. You're going to get a much simpler response, but it's coming from the same thing, and setting that tone and setting the bounds on the role that the AI is playing and the goals that this agent has actually makes a big difference to your output. So with Inverter, when you set up an AI agent or virtual intelligence partner, it's given a role. You are a project manager. You are trying to keep the project on track, or you might add a finance manager. You're trying to keep the costs under control, or a risk manager that's looking after the risks. And these agents actually have slightly competing desires and needs and goals within the project. So if you're, say to your project manager, we want to complete this project within 6 months instead of a year, they might say, okay, well, you just need to hire all these new people. And then your finance manager agent might chip in and go, well, that's all very well and good, but where's the budget for that? And collaboratively between them, they'll try and come to some sort of conclusion about how you could speed up and really shrink, the timelines that this project is on. So that's really the conversational side of it.
And that's really groundbreaking for solutions such as ours, and for people working in the public sector who may well have fallen right into a role within program management, portfolio management. They may not be trained. They may not have the budgets for a team of people that can sit in a room and have these conversations in real life. I mean, there are plenty of use cases where this is quite revolutionary.
And I think as well, just watching that conversation play out, even if you've had exactly the same conversation amongst your team, there may well be points that come up in there and think, I haven't actually thought of that, and so you can feed that in. So it's also a very good sort of brainstorming sort of tool in that regard. But that's the data out that I was talking about. So if I go back to the data in, then the agentic side of that would be I can have one of these risk managers as a VIP or an agent, and I could say, I'm a bit worried that there might be a resurgence of COVID-19. Could you please add me a risk to the system that COVID-19, there might be a COVID-26.
Might be a COVID outbreak, yes.
And what that can do is it'll generate you a risk in the system. It'll have a stab at the likelihood and impact. It'll do its best guess on that. It'll write you a nice description. So it allows that kind of slightly lazy data input to create that risk for you. And it'll pop it up on the screen and say, what do you think of this? And you might think, well, actually, I don't quite agree with the likelihood and impact. I'm just going to make one click to adjust that. I might tweak the description slightly, and then it's in. And that, rather than sitting down and having a blank piece of paper and saying, write down a risk about COVID-26, it's given you a really, really good start of a 10, hopefully more like a start of 20. It just needs a little bit of tweaking to get it in. So those are the two ways that we've got data into Verto at the moment. It's unstructured data that already exists, going through our HIA channel, being rationalised, being put into a form that the system can understand and that you can report on crucially. And there's that blank page problem of I don't have any existing data, but I want to generate some new data, and I want to do that in collaboration with something that's going to get me started on that, going to take the ideas I can talk about in a quite informal manner to the agent or the VIP, and then have that converted into something that's a lot more maybe within the tone of the rest of the project. Because the thing about these VIPs is they actually have access to the project that you're working on, or maybe in the program you're working on. So they're, just by being exposed to that, they're going to have a stick to the tone of the project, stick to the themes, where you're going with it. Another nice thing you can do with it is you can turn up and you say, I'm totally new to this project, I don't know anything about it, what's it all about, what are we trying to achieve, and how are we going? And it'll just generate you a really nice summary just to try and catch you up with where you're going.
I mean, there's so many, use cases and benefits for this, notwithstanding time saving, training, just confidence around decision making, prioritisation could be improved. There is, the decisions can be made, or somebody going into a meeting with all of these people in real life can go in with just a bit of a better sense of what's going on and an opinion, which is going to be invaluable in a hugely transitional, fast-paced sectors such as all the ones we work with in the public sector. So I guess my next question would be on to security, which I think is going to be high on the agenda, especially for UK public sector. How are we tackling and reassuring our clients that this AI that we're bringing in and these new tools and the data collection and the data organisation and then subsequent output of that data is handled securely and safely?
Yeah, I think that is really important, and that's going to be I think that's a worry whenever you're implementing an IT system. And even if you just take AI out of it for a moment, Verto starts from a secure basis, so all of the customer databases are entirely isolated from one another. There's not one big database where your data is next to another database and a query could suddenly go wrong and start giving you data from some other customer. That's just not on the table with the way that the solution's being engineered. So in terms of what the AI is seeing, or any of our models are seeing, it can't see anybody else's data, and it can't spit your data out to somebody else. The other thing is that I spoke before about how they can't learn. It's not learning from what you're doing.
I was just going to say, I know it's not a large language learning model or an LLM.
Yeah, they're large language models, but they do not learn unless you've got millions and millions of pounds and lots of training hardware and all these resources. So they're not they don't learn from everything you put in. In fact, we don't really retain what you're putting in. Certainly not with the AI supported import. You put in a spreadsheet and you get the data out of that in Verto, but we throw away the spreadsheet, and that just stays on your hard drive wherever you want to keep it. But we're not retaining that. Then with the conversational interface, it's obviously retaining the conversation that you're having. So when you click on the conversation to bring it back up again, you're not starting from scratch every time. But it's certainly not being sent off to any third party or being used to train the next iteration of the model. We are totally, the Verto itself is entirely within the UK. The model we're using at the moment is
within the UK.
The model we're using for processing is in Finland under the EU. So I think security is a really important aspect for it, but I don't think we've got any leaks there going out anywhere.
I think that sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for giving me a whistle-stop tour of all that. And actually, I think I understood more than I expected.
Yeah,
which is great. Thank you, Paul.
Oh, you're welcome.